our live stream tonight. Just want to make sure you can hear me here. Can you hear me okay, Dana, on the other side?
I can, yes.
Is volume okay? Let's see.
Volume just got better. Thanks,
Yeah.
Colin. Yeah.
Okay, great. And one sec here. I'm just going to adjust our volumes here. We had some major technical difficulties as we started. Can you hear me okay?
I can, but there's feedback.
Oh, interesting.
So maybe I have.
No, that could be me. That's you getting the feedback on there. One sec here. And if no, that's...
You know what it was, Colin? I think it was my end, and I think I've fixed it.
Okay, gotcha. Good.
Okay.
Okay, so welcome to Livestream tonight. It's nice to be here. We had some serious technical issues getting started here, so just getting resettled down. I'm with Dana here, who is a professional home organizer. My name's Colin. I work as an intuitive counselor or a medical intuitive. And we're here tonight to talk about the energetics of stuff. Now, the reason I reached out to Dana is I know her through a marketing group that I'm a part of. And perhaps more specifically, I recently had to clear out things from my dad's house that he had piled up in his basement from an entire lifetime. And so I sorted through my dad's lifetime of affairs. And in doing that, it made me really reflect on what or why I keep the things that I do, or what's, worth keeping, or how do I, take care of all the things that I've got. And yeah, it really affected me. And so for that reason, I decided to reach out to Dana and see if you wanted to do this live stream to talk about stuff. Why is it like, why do we accumulate so much stuff? Why is it such a challenging thing? Anyhow, Dana, you're a professional home organizer. My first question, why do you like cleaning up other people's things? Or do you? Is that a fair question?
I guess I don't like the dirty part of it, like the nitty gritty, but I love seeing the relief on people's faces when I take out the excess. And you can see the lightness in the shoulders. It's easier to breathe, and there's nothing more satisfying than that, seeing the relief and improving their everyday lives.
So that's interesting. That's almost part of the challenge in, I guess, getting clean is that it's not comfortable, but the results are worthwhile. Like, some people may really enjoy it. I now like cleaning up. I appreciate washing my dishes, drying them, putting them away, having the clean space. I love that, but it's taken me many, many years. I grew up in a very chaotic household, and so it was not clean. And I think that's actually a little bit where my clean side has come from. But how about you? Did you grow up in a clean house, or how?
Very. So my grandmother was not as clean and had a lot of stuff around, and my mom went the other way. So I remember my grandmother telling my mom that our house was stark. Um, but my mom worked full time and was raising me, and she didn't have time to dust all this stuff and on top of everything else. So she kept it very minimal. And I have done the same, clearly.
And what got you interested in supporting people? Was it something that you just enjoyed doing, and why not share something that you're good at? Or did you find people who needed help, or what got you into it?
Total accident. So I had left a job after almost 30 years. I just wasn't growing in it. I wasn't enjoying it anymore, and probably stayed a lot longer than I should have, but it took me a long time to make that change. It was fear, I'm sure, that held me back. And during the time I was off trying to figure out what's next, I was up and down on a step stool in my own kitchen, decluttering like wine glass. We had so many wine glasses, champagne flutes that we never used. And it was at that moment I thought I could help people do this, because I know so many houses are full of things. The babysitter or daycare provider that looked after me as a kid, she was probably a hoarder. I loved going to her house, but her house was the total opposite of my mom's. So from being with her for the first 5 years of my life, really, while my mom was working, I saw the other side and then I lived a different side. So I knew that not everyone could declutter. They probably don't know how. So, and it is a skill that can be learned by anyone.
It is a skill you can learn. You know, it's interesting. I was a kindergarten teacher, my first career, and trying to get the kindergarten classroom clean was, I feel like, the whole purpose of school unto itself. It was a real challenge, and I got very specific. I created holders for the markers and taped out the scissors, and I took pictures of all the bin toys so that it was really easy to get a sense for where everything went. But it's still really hard to get 4, 5, and 6-year-olds to want to tidy up. Is that similar for adults?
Oh, interesting question. Maybe. I think with adults, they may not have been taught it. I think our homes get so overloaded that they don't know where to start. So how do you tidy when there's no home for the things? So I think it's more of the block maybe, it is habits. We need to create habits, which takes time and implement them. But the first thing you need to do is clear it out to make homes for the things. And then when you have homes, you realize, okay, it's going to get messy because we live there and things get pulled out. But it's so much easier and quicker to tidy up when we have spots for the things we're bringing into the house.
Gotcha.
So I think with adults, it's more overwhelm. We've overwhelmed ourselves. Our schedules are overwhelmed. Our responsibilities are mounting.
Well, this goes a little bit into when I was thinking about, like, why do we have so much stuff? Like, what is it, my dad? I think part of the challenge for my dad is he couldn't discern what's valuable and what's not valuable. And that's not to say that some things don't have value. Like, I always remember when I used to run the yoga studio, I built these wooden blocks. And it was so funny. I had like 4 men in a row who walked in. They're like, "Where'd you get these?" I'm like, "I made them." They're like, "They're worth money." Like, it was an interesting statement. They're like, "These have value." And there was a recognition of that. And I was like, "Oh, okay, interesting that we recognize value, but just because it has value doesn't mean it's valuable." Like, holding on to things
And is it valuable? I think something's only valuable if someone else is willing to pay for it. So
right.
what I might think is valuable may be worthless to someone else. So I really think it's personal what's valuable to each
Well,
person.
and that sort of brings me to one of my main questions that I was wondering about, which is, what are the type of people that reach out to you? Like, how does one end up in a space that needs someone to help them? Like, is there a habit of being? Is there a type of person that reaches out to you? Or can you describe someone in a general form like that?
They tend to be families with a good number of people in the house. And I once read a study somewhere that with each new person in the house, the volume of the things in the house increases by 30%, which I don't find hard to believe. Like, you think about bringing home a baby and all the stuff, all the gear that everybody thinks we need for a baby, that 30% is there within no time. But I think they've gotten to a point where they need help slowly. It's just accumulated and accumulated. I know when I worked at my office job, it was a get up, go to work, come home, go to bed, get up, go to work, come home, go to bed. I was not aware. I was too busy. I was trying to keep kids alive and keep a paycheck coming in and contribute at work. And so I was buying things to make myself feel better on the weekends, which I've now decluttered all of it pretty well. So we want to reward ourselves because life is so stressful. But what we've done when we go and reward ourselves by bringing more in is just added more stress to ourselves, and we don't even know it.
Yeah, can I comment to that, or sorry,
Please,
finish?
please.
Well, it's interesting. That's actually part of what I see in my work is I look at people energetically, like, where are we investing our energy? What are the results of our investments? And one of the key concepts is accumulation, right? As we get older, do we have to put on weight? Do we have to get denser in our body? Do we have to lose our vibrancy or receptivity as human beings? And I don't think that we do. I mean, obviously we're going to age, but accumulation, you accumulate in your kidney, you accumulate in your liver. We accumulate things in our body, and then that's true in our home as well. And you really hit on something. I had an ex-partner who, she loved buying books. She didn't read them, but she bought the books. And my feeling about why she would buy books instead of reading them is she wanted the result of having read a book, but didn't have the time. So it's like you said, you shopped on the weekends because you wanted a reward or to feel good, but didn't necessarily meet your needs and what you needed, hey?
Didn't at all, really. Made things worse on reflection. Yeah.
Yeah, because you started to create accumulation.
Yeah, there's so many similarities between decluttering and like trying to get healthy, like an exercise routine or improving your diet. And so I've never thought about accumulating on our bodies as we age. That's so fascinating, Colin, and you're so right. So we cushion ourselves, and then our walls are getting smaller because we're bringing more and more in the house. And why? Why do we do that? I don't know. Is it marketing, and we're all not brainwashed, but almost like, I don't know. I don't know why we do it. We don't need this stuff.
I've got theories on that, actually. And
please, I'd love to hear.
Well, the first one is, it's really interesting. I noticed in my life, anytime I did a physical cleanse, like I did a kidney cleanse or liver cleanse, inevitably day 12 or 14, I'm underneath my counters cleaning out in the bathroom under the counters. And I'm like, why am I? Oh, look at this. I'm cleansing. And so what am I doing? I'm cleansing. There's a real, like, every time, and it's not conscious, like, oh, I should cleanse this. It's like noticing it, that's something that is arising inside of me. So the word that I use for it is, I call it a need for immediacy. I think we want to feel effective as human beings. We want to know that our efforts make a difference, that the things that we're doing is working towards something. And that can be really hard, like buying something is very immediate. You get that immediate release, the feel-good sensations that come with it. Building a retirement portfolio doesn't happen immediately. It happens over time. And so, and I actually think it has to do with faith, and having faith that if I truly devote or work towards that thing, I'll get the result that I want. And I actually think clutter may be a lack of faith, where you just, I want to feel good. I want to feel good. I don't trust things will work out. And so in a way, cleansing or decluttering or only bringing in what you absolutely need into your life is an act of faith in a way. I don't know if that resonates for what your experience has been.
Yeah. When people are keeping things for just in case, they don't realize, though. I tell clients all the time that every single item in our houses is inventory that we need to manage. Every knife, every screw, every sock, every shoe. And it's all talking at us and telling us we need to do stuff with it. So when we're keeping things for just in case, the way I look at it is, we don't have faith in ourselves that if we ended up needing that down the road, that we wouldn't figure something else out. Do I have something else similar that I could use? Could I borrow it? Could I rent it? Could I go buy it again? This day and age, we could. Okay, it's wasteful. We don't want to do it. But, worst came to worst. I've decluttered one thing, only one thing that I kind of regretted in all my decluttering. And that was a hair trimmer that we never used. And then COVID hit. We couldn't get to the hairdresser. Was that a big deal? No, we were a little shaggy until we could actually get into a hairdresser, and we made do, right? But yeah, we don't have faith in ourselves that we'll figure something out.
And yeah, the just in case. I get that one. I did a post earlier. I was talking about the sticky things in our life, and mine was this jigsaw I got when I was 13, and it's just in case. I have a jigsaw, but like, oh, I might use it, or if mine breaks. But it's such an
Yeah.
old jigsaw. If my jigsaw break, I would go buy a new one.
Yeah.
And I think
Not the
part of
sticky one.
no, but part of it is, I mean, I started without a lot of means, and so a tool was gold, and a tool is gold still to me there. But like, if I break my drill, I can go buy a new drill now. It's not the way it would have been when I was 17 years old, where I broke a drill. It's going to be a while before I get a new drill, kind of thing. So my brain hasn't adjusted to the fact that I have a different relationship with accumulating things or being able to actually bring things into my life. So,
Yeah. And I think that's trickled down from the generations that lived through, like my grandparents, through the recession or depression,
mm,
when everything was scarce. So that will probably take a few generations, right, to work itself out.
yeah,
Um,
I have some friends who are like that, who they have a bike part, they're not using it anymore, they sell it. They don't, I would hold on to it. And they're like, no, why would I do that? And so I've been working to get on this idea that if I create space, I'll make space. Like my wife is a minimalist, and she's like, oh, I don't like the clothes that I have. And what she would do then is go to her closet and get rid of the clothes that she doesn't like anymore. And I'm like, but if you don't have clothes that you like, why would you get rid of them? Like, don't you want to like hold on to the clothes that you don't like until you get new ones? And she's like, well, no, if I get rid of it, I make space for the new stuff that I want.
Precisely. Because we can't receive new, we can't grow and learn if we are clouded and holding on to the past.
Right. And so that's the accumulation, holding on to the past. That's interesting. That makes me think of presence. Presence is about being in the present moment. And when you're like, what if, which is futurizing or holding on to something in the past, you're not really in this moment. And I know in the Marie Kondo world, she used to say, like, how do you determine if you want something? Does it bring you joy? And in a way, I wonder if what she's saying is get present with that and trust the arising in your system. Like when you get present to that, are you like, oh yeah, I need that? Or are you like, oh no, I don't? I imagine there's an awareness that comes when you get present with the things in your life.
I've never taken that spin on Marie Kondo. That's a good one, Colin. Maybe that's exactly what she's experiencing when she asked that question, does it bring joy?
Well,
My question to clients who are hesitant to let go of something is to let's pause and what is the worst that could happen if you let it go? We're not going to die.
mm-hmm.
I won't die if I let this go. In fact, they may not know this, but they'll feel lighter. And if we donate it or sell it or give it to somebody who needs it, it's going to be used rather than sitting collecting dust and talking at us.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the worst that can happen if you let it go?
So
I don't think a whole lot is,
no, I think you're right. And I appreciate your approach, because what you're doing is you're bringing the fear into the table and say, let's pretend the fear is real. You don't have this anymore. Does life carry on? Is it the end of the world? No, it's not. You're okay. And it's like, oh yeah, okay. Feels all right to have that happen in that regard. But
yeah, and it may even feel better.
It may even feel better. Yeah, one of the reasons I was thinking about the being present with the thing is in my intuitive counseling work that I do, that's exactly what I do. I get present and I trust what arises inside of me. So like when I do a reading on somebody, they give me their name and their age, and then I just imagine or visualize I open myself to receive information. I trust what comes to me. And so it's very much a present moment receiving. And that's a skill I've had to learn to work with. And I'm guessing that intuitively, when we get present with something, you will also get information. Just like I get information when someone's name and age, you'll get information from your old pair of socks or the jigsaw in your basement. Or the one thing that I got rid of that I regret were these brass grommets. This is another story, but I kept them for like 16 years. I didn't use them. I was like, why am I keeping these? I get rid of them. And then I needed them next week. And I was like, And and so I went and bought more grommets, but it's stuck in
Yeah,
my
you
brain.
didn't die.
No, I didn't
Yeah, it
die.
was annoying, but
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, I had a thought there while you were talking and it's gone
Yeah,
now.
sorry, I jumped onto a
Um,
second thing. It
no,
was
no,
talking about getting
I mean,
present and trusting the arising when you're looking at something.
yeah, I think what I was going to say is that um, for so many years I wasn't present. Um, and I don't think I'm the only one. Like my understanding now, as I'm learning more things, because I have the time, I'm not doing the get up, go to work, come home, go to bed hamster wheel like I was. That many of us don't realize we have this intuition.
Mm,
We go to others for it, right? They come to you for it when, in fact, if we were able to be still long enough and quiet long enough, and sure, it's a practice that will take a lot of practice to hear it. I think we'd get a lot of answers and clarity and realize we don't need all this stuff. We're buying this stuff to fill the voids, I think, inside of us, the same as when we eat. And I'm not immune to that. I've had, you know, I'm still working on my relationship to food.
mm.
Bored, sad, mad. I'm going to eat. And what I'm doing is damaging my body, not helping it. Same with bringing in this stuff. There's so many similarities to food and clutter.
That and to health. Like one of the founding
Yes.
principles of medical intuition is that we limit the pace at which we can heal by the degree to which we can be fully in the present moment. So if you're struggling to be present, you're going to limit the pace at which you can heal. And I guess that kind of makes sense too. If you're not feeling present in your life, food may be a way to experience a present moment experience, but not necessarily all of it. There's a disconnect. The term that I use is congruent. Are you congruent as a being? Like, are you feeling sad and feeling sad? Or are you feeling sad and eating because you're feeling sad? They're not the same thing. Feeling sad and being present to the feelings inside of you, being congruent in yourself, is very present. It's a very present moment experience. Feeling sad and eating, but not feeling fully, it's the same thing. And I actually think it's probably the exact same thing with stuff. Are you feeling sad and buying stuff? Are you feeling excited buying stuff? Are you feeling sad and feeling sad? Asking if you need stuff.
You mentioned that we want immediacy, right? You don't want to just plan for retirement. And so maybe it's that we're very uncomfortable sitting in the sadness or the anger or whatever. And so that's why, okay, I need to feel better now. So I shop. Like I get the dopamine hit. I've purchased it. Tomorrow it's coming, or maybe even later today. And the same with the food. I don't like this sadness. So I'm going to grab some chocolate or chips or whatever your poison is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating. We're fascinating beings.
we really are. And I would say the number one thing that has helped me in my intuitive work, I already was very intuitive, but sort of what has helped me to tip the scales to be available to receive with so much clarity is when I do my yoga practice, it's one where it's about being present. I taught yoga for 16 years. I'm still teaching it, but actually, so I guess it's been 20 years now. But I watch people in their bodies, and very few people are truly present to what's going on. When I started doing yoga, it was an hour and a half class, and I probably focused on what I was doing for 3 minutes. And then I had 87 minutes of daydreaming, replaying things in my head, thinking totally non-present. Whereas now in my body, there's this really intimate connection to all the things going on, and which is sensations are present. You have this access to like getting clear, which I'm guessing you have access to that when you pick up your things and say, do I really need this item? If you slow down and say, do I really need it? And like trust. So there's a faith element to relationship with your stuff.
Yeah. It does take practice though. It's taken me years to be able to, like now I don't have to think much before I know that can go. So I do have like an area in my house when I'm done with something, donations go here. And when that's full, the bin or the drawer or whatever, we bag it up, box it up and get it out of the house. But that's taken years of practice to so easily be able to do that. And I'm sure, like, I don't do yoga. I would find it very difficult. My body would be very tight, would not be able to do the stretches. So I would have to slowly, work my way into that. So it's the same with decluttering, a muscle that we need to slowly build.
Yeah, and what's interesting in what you just said there, actually, you have the perfect body to start yoga. It's just that when you would move and find a expression of resistance in your body, you probably have to be really patient, and you have to be okay with the resistance is where it is. Maybe you'd like to be more flexible or bendy, and you're not. And so there's like, you hit that resistance, and instead of going, screw it, and I'm gonna go eat a bunch of French fries, you go, this is really hard. Oh, I'm frustrated. I don't want to do this. And I imagine you see all of that come up when you start decluttering with people.
A lot of emotions. Yeah.
Yeah, you were talking about that with a client the other day. We were speaking just the other day about something that came up with emotions. Do you mind sharing a bit of that story? Because I thought it was really...
No, not at all. So she was showing me, she herself, before calling me, had 42 boxes of paper and has gotten those 42 boxes down to 6. And so these last 6 boxes, she cannot seem to deal with. And I don't think her family can help her either. So her husband encouraged her, just get someone in. I don't care what you do, you need help with this. So as she was telling me about what was in these boxes, there's some serious history on the paper in these boxes to the point that she started crying. And I, once she finished, said to her, we need to get this out of your house. Why is it in your house? Like, when something's making you feel awful or bringing back bad memories, why are we holding on to it? May I help you let it go? Like, if we'll work through the feels, and we may need some tissue, and that's absolutely fine. And actually, it's even better, right? I feel so much better after a cry. But let's get it out so that it's not constantly reminding her of that time that was very troubling for her.
So it's processing work. Decluttering is processing. I mean, she's processing the things that are there, and you're helping her realize this is causing pain. I spoke to another organizer once who told me a story about someone who lost their husband, and there was an apple core in the car that her husband had eaten right before he passed away. And she's like, I can't get rid of it in the car. Like, it's just sitting on the floor, but I don't want to get rid of it. It's my link. And when she did finally get rid of the apple core, many tears, a lot of pain, and because it was something to acknowledge that was, because on one level, it's an apple core. Like, who cares? But
yeah,
it's not an apple core.
Compost, right? Yeah, that one's very interesting.
And yet,
but we need that tangible sometimes, especially when the loss is so fresh. We need, if we can hold on to something tangible. I get that.
Oh, I think it was a couple of years. It sat in her car.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So once again, are you ready to look at this or deal with it? My father was a messy man, and I remember one time you couldn't even get into his office, and I said, "Let me come and help you." And I was just like, "Yeah, you don't need this. You don't need this. You don't need this." And I was not respectful of his process in it, where he was like, "Hey, but that's, and it was I was like, yeah, Dad, come on, just get over it." And the way that a son can probably speak to his father. But I realized now it was actually probably painful for him, and I wasn't very respectful of the processing that goes on. He's holding on to it for a reason. And I'm not talking about the reason. I'm just looking at the stuff. That's why I called this the energetics of stuff, because it's the energetics of it that is the thing that I think makes things sticky or difficult or not easy to know what to do with it.
Yeah, I've done that in my own house. Big no that I learned, like, before becoming an organizer, but not soon enough, in that I went into my own child's room when she was at a sleepover, and her room was driving me crazy. And I disrespectfully loaded up probably a couple of black garbage bags worth of stuff. And she comes back from her sleepover and, where's my stuff? gone. Never ever do that. Never do that. We're still working through that. We still love each other.
I know some good therapists for that kind of stuff. 'Cause, well, and
Yes.
here's the beautiful thing. You're thinking one thing. You're not like, I don't care about you and I'm, going to do what I want. It's, oh, this is my relationship to it. And, oh, you had yours. And now we need to heal that and understand that. And there's beauty in that.
I did not respect that or really even see that at the time. I saw, oh my God, I'm working like day and night to pay for this house, and she's just like, it's not here for her to destroy, right? With all this garbage.
Right.
Well, it wasn't garbage to her. Right. Oh my gosh, I'm almost embarrassed saying this, but that was a really profound lesson for me, right? And something when I'm coming into homes and spouses or parents want to declutter someone else's stuff, I'm like, no, we cannot do that. We need to get them involved, or we just need to lead by example and declutter our own things. And then hopefully they will start to see the positive and then want to address their own things, but we cannot do that. So you and I have both learned the hard way, I think.
And I hope you don't be embarrassed about it, because I would call it the path of the wounded healer, which is we experience a wound and then we go, oh, that's like, I injured my neck when I was a kid. I broke my neck when I was 4. And that's what got me into yoga. I was in pain. And so I have this relationship to working through pain. You had a pain with your daughter. And so now when someone's like, oh, can I just get rid of my kids' things? You're like, hold up, like, wait a sec. You've got a lived experience of why that's tragic. And so there's an empathy that you can bring that if you didn't have that experience, you wouldn't have. And so they're tragic.
Thanks, Colin. That's better. Yeah. Well, I feel better.
Honestly, this is another huge part of medical intuition, is that there's this huge paradox between tragedy and divinity. Like, that's tragic, and yet there's something so powerful for you in that. And I have no doubt that for your daughter, in a few years from now, when she hopefully checks herself into some type of support thing to unpack that, can call parts of herself back. And that's the work that I do right now. And I don't hold resentment towards my parents in that. I see that as it's part of the forming of who I am and the healing of who I am, which is making me who I am today as an adult. So imperfect, tragic at times, and beautiful. I think it's all true.
Perfectly imperfect. We are.
Perfectly imperfect. So you talked earlier about tidying being a habit.
Mm-hmm. Like brushing our teeth.
Like brushing your teeth. So would you say that the people that are not clean did not have that habit growing up, or are cluttered, or whatever it is?
I would think, I do think we need to be taught. I know, okay, it's time to tidy this up before. I think a lot of parents do that, at least current day parents. Okay, before you pull all that out, we need to put this away. And maybe that didn't happen in previous generations.
You
maybe
didn't grow up in my
mom
house.
was home all the time. And so, if mom wanted to tidy, she could, but otherwise stuff was just left for somebody else to deal with. But then we get to adulthood and we move out on our own, and the whole place falls apart. And you're like, what happened? Like, mom's not here to pick up. But then the other thing too is too much is the excess. And so if there's no space to put it away, where do you start to tidy? You can't.
I have the spot. I'm really good at tidying. I pull everything out and it goes to the spot, and then I only bring back the things, and then those things in that spot go to the next spot as I clean that next area out. And it's almost like there's like a blob that moves through my house to different areas. Right now it's by the fuse box in the basement is my current. That'll get sorted later kind of thing. But as I do it, I get cleanliness around me, that's forming. It's kind of nice that way.
Well, and there are going to be little things that will be kind of like homeless clutter. So there's no harm in developing a spot. Maybe it's a couple of drawers or a cabinet or something. And that's kind of like when you don't know where to put something, it goes in that spot, like little candles or whatever, right? That if you don't have a home for something. So they really do have a home. It's just this particular spot. And maybe it's not categorized all together. It's a bunch of different categories in one spot. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, so I want to go a bit of a different direction because I did a post talking about sticky things like my jigsaw, and two of the comments on the post were like, I don't like declutter people. They're just trying to control me. Tell them to get a life. Like it was kind of in that
Oh,
flavor
I didn't
of,
see that. Ooh,
I mean,
okay.
I'm paraphrasing. It wasn't quite that way, but it was not, it was on TikTok, I think, that one, which I don't know if
I'm
you,
not on TikTok, so
so
okay.
you wouldn't have seen that. And it was like, why are people trying to tell me what to do? And my response was, hey man, you're the boss of you. I literally said, you're the boss of you. It's like the kid phrase. Anyone trying to clean you up when you don't want that, yes, they do have a problem. There's something going on with them. And I personally have really loved becoming more tidy. Like I'm not going to deny that, but definitely like heels dug in, resistance. Why are you telling me what to do? There's something about tidying that is, I think, confrontational or scary for people. Have you ever experienced that? Probably not, because you have people who actually come to you to get
Well,
tidy.
I actually have recently worked with a family who have two young boys, um, and a very full house. And one in the early days, I said to them, you know, if you want their counter clean in the kitchen, you're going to need to do like a 10-minute tidy at night. And both boys would have everything out on the carpet, all the toys, and I'd come in the morning and they'd be all over. And I'm like, we need to teach the boys to put their things away, but we also need you to set an example for them and clear the counter. And they were like, well, we're not going to do that. It's just not what we do. And I said, well, I can help you declutter and organize, but I can't come in every day and do a 10-minute tidy for you. And they're like, well, we're just not going to do it. But they have started to do it because as we've emptied the house and it's gotten lighter and more manageable, it's probably easier for them to tidy, but they're realizing, oh, I feel better. I need to do this for me. So there may be resistance, but I think, and I knew that I wouldn't be able to tell, you know, to make that. I can't make someone implement these routines, but I can encourage them and tell them it's the only way. It's going to stay this way. It's not one and done.
Mm-hmm.
It's daily. It's perpetual, especially with a family of four.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I moved out 19 or 20, and it was a messy house, and I tried so hard to be clean, and I would like spend like hours cleaning the place, and the next day would be chaos. And I feel like it took me 20 years to go from that to having sustainable cleanliness in my life or whatnot. Like really, it was a learned skill. But it's interesting what you were saying in terms of this family that we're like, we're not going to do that. One of my teachings in medical intuition is that the most important or the foundational ingredient of all healing is willingness. If you don't have willingness, you can't heal. And willingness doesn't mean you have to know how, but you just have to be willing. And it's like, we don't do that is not an expression of willingness. In fact, it's not. And I don't know if you've done this, but I've actually fired clients before because I'm like, oh, you're not willing enough. Like I've done everything I can. You're wasting your money on me because I can't get any more movement until we get there. And I don't want to spend my time with someone who's like, fix it for me. And that's what it was actually. They were like, it was a couple and we get along so much better when you're here, but then it was gone as soon as I left. And the work to heal the things was not being done. And so maybe it's a digger deep. I could have dug deeper, but I'm not convinced that they were willing to do the work.
I have not fired a client yet, but I wouldn't hesitate to because I don't want to, I don't want them to waste their money, and I don't want to be frustrated. I don't want to take someone's money if I can't help, if I don't think I can help them. So I had already, you know, they had already paid me. We'd already started working together, and they're like, well, we just don't do that. We're not going to. So, I mean, I guess I could have refunded them, but I'm glad we kept going because I think the house is much better for them all.
I like what you said. You cleared it. Like I imagine there's physical analogies to what you do. Like some people come to you because they need a kidney cleanse and they're taking herbs to do it. And then some people need a full triple bypass surgery because the blockage is so great and they need it to be evacuated from their body. And once again, going to the medical intuitive comparison, serious illness like that is usually long-term accumulation. Like it's pretty rare that you're like totally fine and then completely not fine. Often there's signs or things that build up over time and whatnot. And so, yeah, sometimes we can do cleansing or get clear on things, but sometimes we've resisted so much that we need this tragic event to get us to change our way. And I'm guessing you see that too.
With this same family, there was a lot of serious health issues, like cancer and heart attacks and surgeries, and so it's really interesting what you just said there because it was impacting, in their home and their bodies substantially.
Well, this is an interesting thing. So for those of you who don't know us, Dan and I know each other a little bit through conversations about energetics. That's a place that we connected, and that's why I reached out to you, because I could tell that you weren't just a clean somebody's house up kind of person. You're a get in tune with the energy. And my feeling would be, and I think you said as much, I imagine sometimes it's really exhausting to leave people's house. You get in other people's energy and you get all of this stuff going on, and you gotta process that when you leave. Does that happen to you?
Oh, I'm very empathetic. I don't know that I've always realized that, but even working in an office, if somebody was having a bad day, I would know it and I would go out of my way to try to soften their day a bit. So I do absorb that, and it's something I need to work on better for myself. I'm zonked. Like I tend to not do longer than 4 hours because I care. I really care about these people. So I am absorbing their emotions, their sadness, their frustration, their anger that they've gotten to this point. And there are times when I leave a client home and I'm like, I feel like I need to pull over and have a 20-minute nap before I actually drive home or drive to the donation center. I'm wiped. So I do need to get better at protecting myself or clearing that. And actually, Colin, maybe you can help me with that down the road, like how I do that for myself. But definitely, I'm zonked
and
often.
And definitely, and that's, you're getting into part of the shadow of the empath, which is personalizing. Like if you're completely non-personal, like the universe is looking at this person, the universe will experience the tragedy and is fine. But when you experience the tragedy and it hooks you, it pulls you down, I think you can feel fully without sticky. I think that's a place that is possible to achieve. And if actually, in my intuitive counsel work, I started to notice when I had clients with a serious health issue, because I got scared. I would be going to do the reading and I would be uncomfortable or not want to write stuff down. And ultimately, that's me. I can't channel that information. I can't run that through my system because I'm getting stuck on it. It's triggering me. It's challenging for me. And so, you're beginning your work, it's going to challenge you. And I've always said the number one job of the empath is processing. If you're an empath, your job is to process. So you go there and you work it out. And then next time you have more understanding, you have more clarity, and you don't get as bogged down by things. You can be in the presence of suffering, cry, feel the pain of what's going on, and be like, okay. I had a counselor who was like that once. He was like, I was telling him something that happened that was tragic, and he started crying, and I'm like, oh my God, you're crying. And he's like, yeah, so anyhow, the next thing, and like, his ability to feel fully but not have it hook him was amazing. And I learned a lot from him in the ability to do that. So it is definitely possible.
Well, we may be working together soon.
It would be a pleasure if to do that with you. Do you have any other thoughts right now? There's another question I wanted to go to, but I'm wondering if there's anything.
No, I was actually just looking at the questions. So you go ahead. You tell me what you want to talk about.
There's the one that keeps coming to me. I like to think in triads. So opposing and then evolved. So there's like Mind, body, spirit is the third one there. Or for cleanliness, what did I write down here? I said there's creativity and order. Creativity and order. Like on one side, creativity is unbound. It's without limitation. It's expansive. It's, flowing and all those kind of things. Whereas order is controlled, segmented, put into place. They function in very different ways. I remember listening to an author who wrote a book about genius, and apparently geniuses tend to be messy. There's something about the creativity and the spaciousness and genius that go together. And then there's order, which can be confining. Although, actually, the transcendence to me is to create an order so that your creativity can fly or be unbound. And the best example I have for that is, I don't know if you know, but Albert Einstein always wore the same suit every single day.
I didn't know that he did that.
Didn't have to think about what he wore. He's like, he's a creative individual. I don't want this to be the thing where my attention goes to. I want it to be elsewhere. So he created a ordered foundation for dress so that it didn't have to occupy him on some level. At least that's my interpretation of it. I don't know if others have interpreted that
Well,
way.
I think Steve Jobs and Barack Obama are two people that I've heard in recent times that did the same thing, like kind of had a uniform, and there's probably others that have a uniform. And because we make I don't know how many decisions in a day, countless, hundreds at least. And so that's one we don't have to make in the morning. Same with people who have the same breakfast every day or the same lunch every day. One less decision they have to make.
Yeah.
Simplicity.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I make the same breakfast almost every day. And here's the funny thing. So being intuitively guided through most of my life, I used to run yoga studios, and some of the most intuitively clear times in my work as an entrepreneur were when I got really disciplined about studying the metrics of my business. So like how much revenue every class brought in, what each student was paying, and what percentage of revenue is going to teachers, like super detailed stuff that it's not very intuitive, but having that foundation gave me space. And I actually found myself having clarity. You were saying it earlier in our talk tonight. You were saying all this stuff is talking to you. Is that what you said?
Yeah. Or at us and to us, telling us we need to do things. Yeah.
All that data of my business was talking to me, and it was clouding me. As soon as I gave it a voice, like a ordered expression so that it was really easy to see, I felt like it wasn't talking at me in the same way, and I had more space to hear other things. And so I've experienced this interesting relationship where order can actually support creativity, but then I also know that order can impede creativity.
Yeah, I would think with your business metrics, if you're seeing a certain class that's bringing in the best revenue, then you can get your juices flowing about, okay, what else can I do that's similar to bring in more revenue, right? That would give you the freedom to.
No, but I mean it a little differently, actually. Like, that class is not doing well. Oh yeah, something's going on with that teacher. What is it? Like, what's the energetics that's causing that to not do well? And so it's like I create space for feeling into the energetics of the health of the classes by having the metrics, not just, hey, that does well, I should do more of that. Although that did happen as well, but that's more of a mind arising as opposed to an intuition. So yes, my mind was more clear as well, but I was intuitively more clear. That intuition is where you know things that are greater than your mind can know, right? Like how do I know things about people knowing their name and age? It's because my intuition provides me more than my brain is capable of knowing. And so when my brain was not busy doing all these other things, I had space for other stuff. And sure enough, it came, and it's pretty neat. Which goes to my question, how do you know you're not being controlling, anal? I have two, I was thinking of archetypes for this. I have two of them. I wrote them down. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Hannah with Cate Blanchett. She's like,
no, I haven't.
Super anal person, and she flosses her teeth till they bleed. Like she wants to get them so clean, she's causing her own teeth to bleed. That struck me. And then in American Beauty, Annette Bening, who is the wife of the husband, they're getting it on. It's hot and heavy, and he's holding a beer, and it almost goes to spill. And she's like, "Oh, don't spill the beer." And like the passion was gone because of the controlling.
Yeah.
Like, how do you know you're not being controlling? Anal,
Well,
tight.
you're asking the wrong person, because anal is what many people would call me.
Okay.
And hey, yes, that is who I am. I would think when you're missing out on life and enjoyment and enjoying your space, if you're too busy keeping it, like I mentioned earlier, we live in our houses, so they're going to get messy.
Yeah.
But the point of organizing is to have function and homes for things. And so it's easy to know where to go to get something. Well, we know this is where it goes and this is where it'll be, or we're out of it because it's not there. But life is messy. We live in these houses and we want to have fun in them. So I would think that if you spend all your time lining things up and color coding, and then that's when we've crossed the line. But any deeper than that, Colin, I don't know if I can help you with that. I don't know.
No, it's and I guess it's individual. What the thought that came to me there is ask your kids. They'll tell you honestly if you're being no fun.
Yeah.
Or ask the
Very
person
true.
who's less.
They're very honest.
But I think you hit it there. There's something about order. Yeah, maybe it's getting into that order and creativity. As soon as the order impacts creativity, there isn't that space for the joy or flow of life, then it's too much. Like, can you be okay if the dishes aren't all washed and put away? Like, I knew someone who could not go to bed with dirty dishes, like under any circumstance, and like devastated washing dishes after a huge dinner party at a great cost, where I'm thinking it would have served better to just go to bed, do them in the morning.
Yeah.
It's not going to kill you. There's a fluidity in that. Yeah.
So many things aren't going to kill us, and but we're fearful anyway.
Okay, so here's the big question of the night. Where do you keep your toaster?
I love this question. I'm like, oh, this one's easy. So we've had this discussion in my house. So the older I get, so everyone has a different clutter threshold, right? Some people are more comfortable and actually prefer more stuff around them. They have more comfort. Like my daughter would be one of those people who wants and needs more things around her. I don't want to see my things, and I want them behind closed doors because I don't forget that they're there, unlike my daughter and some other people. If it's behind closed doors, it ceases to exist. I would prefer my toaster to be underneath. My husband, not so much. So it is on the counter. But my thinking is, we use this thing for no more than 15 minutes a day if all of us are toasting. So why do I have to look at it for the other 23 plus hours a day? So I lost that battle. However, we used to have a canister with all the wooden spoons and that kind of thing on the counter, which I spent more time cleaning because of the splatter from the stove. So we have gotten rid of that and put things in drawers and bins. So we compromised a little bit, but our toaster's on the counter.
Gotcha. Well, I was a staunch, why are we taking it out, putting it away? Come on. My wife was I want the space free and clear. And I think one of the most important things to do in a relationship is to let ourselves be influenced by a partner. I think that's a core value that I personally adhere to. So I said, you know what? Let me give it a try. Like, it feels controlling, it feels anal, it feels excessive, all of the negative things you can imagine for that. I expressed all those things, but then again, from my perspective, that's what it was like. And so I had to like walk a mile in her shoes, or I'm not sure the analogy to describe it, but just embrace it for a while, like truly embrace it. And what's the result? And I realized I loved it. I love having the toaster put away. I love not having things on the counter. I feel like when I go to the kitchen, it's a blank canvas. And I'm to the point now that when I make a big breakfast every day, I wash the dishes, I dry the dishes, I put the dishes away so that it's a blank slate in there. And I love being able to do that. I'm okay if I don't have time, but I just like having that clarity. And that's not how I started this whole journey in that way. So I think it's possible to grow and evolve in that one. And I'm not saying it's wrong to leave your toaster out. I just know that I like it open and clear.
Well, Colin, kudos to you to being open to being influenced by somebody else. I don't think a lot of us are like that. So that's amazing, I
So
think.
could you do this one? I also like to trade sides of the bed.
Ooh, you know what? Next Friday, I have a feng shui expert coming to do a report in our house.
Okay.
I am so excited about this.
Mm.
But she gave an example that there was a couple where the woman was always going to sleep with all these layers on. And it turned out she was in some sort of like she was on the wrong side of the bed based on her element. And I know for me, based on the year I was born, that my element is hardwood. Anyway, she had them switch sides, and this woman said, I don't have to bundle up anymore. She was no longer freezing cold.
Mhm.
So I'm going to say no to that one, but I'm very interested to hear what I learn next Friday about whether we're even sleeping on the right sides for ourselves,
Mhm.
because she's taken our names and birth dates and a
Mm.
bunch of information about the house. So
Mhm. Mhm.
I that would be a big fat no for me on that one. I just think it would be
And
too weird.
and I
But if
think
she tells me to, I'll try it.
most people are like that. For me, I don't want to ever get too fixed in one thing. And what's interesting, I was in a bad
So,
car
Colin, do
accident.
you
Yeah.
switch?
Oh yeah.
Oh, awesome.
My
Okay.
my wife was willing to be influenced by me, and she agreed to it.
Oh,
Although it's a year ago tomorrow that I was in a serious head-on collision, and
oh
it's been a
wow.
hard year, and
Mm.
I don't think we've changed sides in that year, which has never happened before. And it kind of makes sense, like we just need things to be stable and easy, and so that kind of change I imagine actually might have been challenging, but I often like it because I want to wake up on the fresh side, new side of the bed, or see things in a different light, or that way. And so I appreciate the non-conformity of switching around that way, but I know that's not everyone's cup of tea. I just think it's a fun thing to play with. Like, can you actually do it?
Yeah. Even when we go on vacation, we're on the same sides. Like it's not
Hmm.
like we switch different
Hmm.
in a totally different place. It's
Hmm.
so funny.
Yeah, no, it's funny the things that we do.
I'm gonna have to try it
It's
now.
it's do, but here we go. This I used to always say this like if you're gonna try food that you don't know if you're gonna like it, like little kids are like they make scrunchy face and whatever, and energetically what they're saying is as they go to try it, and it's like, what's this like? Like, how can you open yourself to try something new so that you're in a receptive state as opposed to a resistant state? So, like me and the toaster, if you're gonna try switching sides of the bed, give it 2 months. Don't give it a day. Don't give it a week. Give it time to like work through that resistance because I hated putting the toaster away when I started. I didn't like it at all. It was over time that I got influenced and things started to change. I developed a new taste buds or a different palate. And so, anyhow, that's my energetic exploration activity that I personally like to play with to see how it influenced my life. So,
Awesome.
well, this has been a wonderful conversation, super fascinating. I've really enjoyed exploring this with you. Is there any other things that you wanted to add or you thought we didn't cover that is worth bringing up?
I did have one question through
Yes.
Instagram that I
Okay.
wanted to cover, and it was someone has an angel deck, so cards that they're no longer feeling aligned with, and what should they do with them?
Hmm.
And I'm not well versed with angel cards, so you and I spoke about this, but I also reached out to some other people. One of the women I reached out to is a medium I've actually met before. That was a fascinating experience back in 2019,
Okay.
and she told me that cards only have power if you give it to them.
Hmm.
That she has over 100 decks of cards, but she only ever uses like around between 1 to 5 different decks. And so sometimes she said they just need a rest. And
Oh,
then like an
interesting.
old friend, they come back,
Hmm.
or you can bring them back in. So I found that very interesting. But she also, like you had said, if you want to give them away, find someone who will benefit from them. Maybe somebody who's going through a troubled time who would like them, or someone who's interested in cards and doesn't have that deck. So I just wanted to put that out there to answer that question, and I'll reach out to the person as well. So they don't have to watch the whole thing to get to the answer.
Good. It's worthwhile. We got a cliffhanger at the end here. And if I could just add to that, what I would say is, and what the medium said, yeah, it's true. The crystals are only as powerful as the presence in which you are able to hold them with. Like, it could be a pretty rock on your drawer. It will have influence, but to be potent or to have like a real impact, your relationship to it or your presence really matters. So yeah, like maybe the wisdom that these cards are holding aren't resonating for this person anymore. They've learned those lessons, you know, like I've worked with some healers for a while and gotten what I needed and moved on to another healer, and it can be the same thing with decks and cards and whatnot. And I love that she knows that she's not resonating with them anymore and therefore doesn't need them. And then sometimes you can ask, like, am I resistant? Is it there? But I get the sense that they're aware that it's not the right thing for them. I said take them to the yoga
I
studio.
get the sense too. And your suggestion too, Colin, was to donate them to a yoga studio. And because I've never done yoga, I wouldn't even have thought of that. But do yoga studios have decks of cards typically?
Yeah, some teachers will choose a card each class or choose a card of the day, and sometimes they'll have cards at the front of the studio, or they'll have little angel messages that you can pick when you do class. I had someone I ran teacher training with that would get everyone to pick an angel message for themselves each day for class, and it's actually a really nice thing. I enjoyed that as a practice, and so not every studio, but some definitely embrace that. Yeah.
Awesome. So I hope we've answered that question. That was the only other piece I wanted to add.
That's great. I think, I mean, there may be other questions, but I feel like we really got into it, and I love some of the places that we went to in terms of health and cleanliness. I forgot about when I would do cleanses, I would clean out under my closet and like under the kitchen sinks kind of thing, like scrubbing.
Yeah, it's fascinating. That's a fascinating correlation. Yeah.
Yeah. How you do anything is how you do everything. And so that cleaning yourself, it's a natural arising. And so I wouldn't be surprised as you continue to evolve in your work, if you're going to become more of a energy counselor than just a strategic organizer, because that's what you're touching. When you go into space with people, you're touching the energetics, and the structure is helpful, but onto itself, it's I don't think it's enough to make a difference. If you don't change the patterns on the end, like you can change your diet, but if you don't change the issues that have caused you to be triggered by food.
100%. I'm dealing with that right now. Relationship to food. Yeah. 100%.
And yeah, we can keep talking forever. So thank you so much, Dana. I really appreciate it. I'm going to give you a quick call when we're off air here, just to check in with you. And thank you everyone who tuned in, and thanks for sharing tonight.
Thank you, Colin. It's been my pleasure.
Awesome. Have a great night.
Night.